Good morning, it's Karen Purdy, and I wanted to do a video that goes through a few different creative activities I might do if I want to create but I don't have a specific project in mind, or if I'm not feeling particularly inspired or motivated. There are a few go-to things that I'll do myself just to kind of get the creative juices flowing and to get that process of creating without stressing about, what it's going to look like or anything like that. So most of these things are all going to be pieces. I guess that would be the theme of this video, is it shows different ways that I create pieces that I may use in a page or in a project later on. So the first one is I just have this piece of white cardstock, and I have pulled out a few stamps, including some stamps from Gina B Ahrens. I'm on her design team, and this isn't exactly a design team video, but I am including some of her stamps as I do this, just because I know I'll be using them down the road. So I wanted to point out that these are from Gina Ahrens. And then I also have a VW bus stamp and this little squirrel stamp, some little houses from Lavinia Stamps. I have by Newton's Nook this cute set of stamps that has a wizard and a dragon and some magic elements to it. And so basically all I'm gonna do is I have this Delusions journal block that I use as my acrylic block for the sticky stamps, and I'm basically just going to stamp onto this paper and then I'll cut them out. So I may show part of the process, I will speed up through it, and then I will come back with another tip. Okay, so the rest of the stamps I'm going to do mostly off screen, but I wanted to show you the next step is I don't just save the paper as it is. I do take a pair of scissors and I will cut apart the stamps. Down here I have the squirrel and it has a little sentiment that goes with it, so I cut those out together. Now there are a few different ways to do this. With the sentiment, I think it helps to have these together and save them for a project. These will probably make good cards, and with Valentine's Day coming up, I may actually need about a lot of these for my boys to bring to school, because we like to make our own Valentines. So I will set these aside, and they will be ready to fussy cut when I'm working on the project. Now, if I wanted to, I could I'm going to cut these out because, as you can see, the stamp didn't stamp all the way through like so. But the good thing is the other side of the paper is still clean, that I can use a different stamp on that. So I'm going to set that aside, and this as well. And these will either go in my scrap bucket or I will stamp on the back side because they will be stuck face down, so you're not going to see the stamp on the other side. Now with these houses, I will again cut these out and I will set these aside, but if I wanted to, I could fussy cut each individual one right now. So I'm just going to do one for example. So then when I go to use this in a project, all I have to do is color it. Or if I wanted to, I could even take one and color it now. This is all just about preparing pieces for future projects, getting out of that funk where I want to create but I don't know what I want to create. So I'm working on probably what's the most tedious part of a project if you pick it up from start to finish. But when you do treat this as its own individual project, it's creative. It's a way to get you out there and get you started. One other thing I did want to show is how I store these. Now, I did pull out a few that I have projects in mind that I'm going to use them on, and I put them in a special area for projects that I'm going to work on. You know, little Ziploc baggies and things like that. But I do have this container that I purchased at Michael's, and it has several different colored bins. And so I haven't gone through and labeled everything yet, but let's say I take out one of these bins and I use this to store different pieces that have a theme. That's the way I do it, is I go by theme. So here the houses are going to go into this one. And over here I'm going to put the squirrels. And so that way, once I'm done labeling these, when I'm working on a project and I need a piece, I can just automatically go and get the piece I need rather than having to stamp it and cut it out and color it, you know, start to finish. It helps to have certain pieces ready to go. That's the point I was trying to say. Hi guys, it's Karen. So here is another creative activity you can do when you are kind of in that funk where you're not creatively inspired, and you don't really know what you want to create, you just know you want to create. So here I am pulling out some scrap papers I have from my Dilutions journal last year. And these were pages that I'd ripped out or I'd used as mop-up pages, or I just couldn't really find anything to do with them. So there's a few different ways you can use these, and I'm not going to use all of these right now, but I'll take this one, and we'll do this one. Alright, so first, this one is kind of fully covered as it is. What I may do, I'm going to see if I can find... Okay, so I have this mandala stamp right here. And I'm going to take some gold ink, and I will use this page to protect my workspace. And I'm just going to take the stamp and some gold ink, and I'm just going to randomly stamp all over this page. No rhyme or reason to it. Ooh, ah. And it doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to be cutting this paper down. And since this one has more coverage and more of a, I don't want to say pattern, but what I'm going to do is create more of a background. Sorry about that. I got cut short because my phone started going off. So now I'm just kind of stamping around where there's still a little bit of gold ink, because this is a dye ink. So I am just kind of stamping off. It'll be a little bit more faded, but it's all about doing this. Okay, so that should be good. And then this page right here, I'm going to take and cut down to 3.5 by 2.5 rectangles. And This is basically an artist trading card size, which you can also use for pocket letters and tags. There's a lot of things you can do with it. So this is just creating more pieces that I can use. And each piece will essentially be a background. But I like how this will have kind of a consistent theme. I basically just created my own paper to work with. So I'm going to cut this at 3.5, and then I'm going to cut it at 2.5. And this one, I'm going to cut down at 2.5. So that way I'm kind of mixing and matching a little bit too. So here I go at 3.5. And so now I have a bunch of artist trading card sized backgrounds and pieces of paper. So I found a use for, as you can tell, I had a stack of scrap paper. These things can clutter up on you too. So when I want to create and I don't know what, one of my favorite things to do is to go through those scraps and find a use for them. And so that's what I've done here. I've made all little artist trading cards that I can use for pocket letters or a number of things. And they do have a very pretty background to them. So this one is just shy of 2.5, but I will have a purpose for this as well. I'm going to cut this down to 1 inch. And then I'm going to cut this into a bunch of 1-inch squares. So there is no waste here. Because that's one thing that crafters and artists tend to do, is we tend to hoard everything. And I think it's really good to find a purpose for all those things that we hoard and use them. And if we don't, then they get wasted. And that's probably why we tend to hoard everything, is we don't want to waste anything. But I believe that letting these things sit there instead of using them, that's just as wasteful. And that stuff piles up and turns into clutter, and that can actually, I guess I'd say, mess with your creativity. It can make you feel blocked when you look around and you see clutter and you don't know where to start. Now, I'm not going to say that we will always be organized, but yeah. So here are a number of 1-inch tiles or squares, and there are a lot of things I can do with this. So to store these, I have a number of options. I could have one of those bins in my Michaels organizer that I showed earlier. I could have one of those dedicated to inchies, but with these, I like to store them in a little Ziploc baggie. I do the snack size, and that's just to keep them from falling out. And then I have a number of these organizers that I picked up from Dollar Tree. And so I will use this one specifically for inchies. And what's nice about it is the little Ziploc baggie fits perfectly in there. And I can store a number of them in there, and it's this one little thing that I keep in a bin, and I can go grab inchies if I decide I want to work on a project that would use them. And so my artist trading cards, I have a binder, and it's full of the baseball card sleeves, and these make it easy if I want to work on a pocket letter. I can flip through and find different themes. So I have, these are kind of a set, they go together. There is a little bit of variance in the size I noticed. I might have not been very accurate when I cut them. So I am going to separate them that way. And I will stick these in like so. And then I have a bunch of scraps here that coordinate with the different sets. And I just kind of stick them in the pocket because when I work on one, I may want to use a scrap. Like this might make a nice backing for a sentiment on a contrasting card if I were to make a pocket letter. So I have everything there. And then I put this up on my bookshelf. And I will come back with one more project. Okay, I'm back, and I have another activity that I like to do. And I wanted to show you my grab and glue book was actually created using, this is called the Merchandiser. I think every house gets something like this. It's almost like a newspaper, and it's just full of ads. I'll be honest, I don't really look at the ads. I do everything online on Facebook. So if there's any upcoming events or anything, I find them on Facebook first. And I don't really look at the ads or the classifieds for anything. But rather than wasting these or throwing them out, I do save them for different purposes. And one of them is to create a grab and glue book. So I want to show you this lovely book is constantly in progress, and this was created out of this. So you'll see it gets quite thick. What I did for this was I just took, I cleaned out my bucket of scraps from scrapbook paper and other projects, and I literally just glued everything down. So I'll do a little flip through and show you. Again, this is completely in progress, but you know, on a few of these I did already add some cutouts from magazines, some paintbrushes and things that fit. And I'll just go through and just glue stuff down. Now this page I'm not a big fan of. I may actually go over it with some gesso and kind of start over with some different colors, but you know, for the most part, it's just scraps of paper that are cut or ripped, and I just glue them down, kind of like, you know, collage style. And so this is one of my grab and glue books. And if I want to create, but I'm not feeling particularly inspired, I don't really have a project or a page or a spread or a painting or anything like that in mind to do from start to finish, what I'll do is I'll grab one of my grab and glue books, or I'll even just take this and same thing. I will just, you know, I can start a new one, and I do have a shelf that is dedicated to these. And then I have a number of drawers like this that are just filled with cutouts. This has a number of cutouts that I use a lot in my journals. I have, this one is full of project life cards. And let's see, what else do I have? Here's some Tim Holtz. I have some butterflies and flowers and other die cuts. So this one's just filled with these. And this has more of the vintage, I guess you could say, Tim Holtz cutouts and little bits and ephemera. And so I have several drawers like that. So what I'll do is I just kind of dig through, and if anything looks like it fits, that's all I'll really do is I'll grab something. Let's see. I kind of like that Once Upon a Time. So I'll take my scissors. And I'll find a good place for it. Let's say right up there. And you can use cheap white glue, you can use a glue stick, you can really use whatever you want. I try not to use my good glue for this because this is really just about grabbing and gluing, and that's all I really do. It's simple, it's quick, it's easy, but it gets me digging through and cleaning up my stash for one, but also seeing what I have and, again, using it. So for something like this, I could also go through some of my pre-stamped, pre-cut images as well if I wanted to. I can really add whatever I want. Let's see. Kind of like that, like there. But let's see, anything else? See, I think that this kind of goes with the colors over here, so I may want to add that there. But yeah, so I just go through and I see if anything sticks, and I'll grab and glue and decorate as I go. So this isn't really creating an art journal from start to finish. It's all about just creating, just grabbing and gluing, and it can be very therapeutic to do this. So that is another creative activity that I like to do. Thanks for watching. Hi guys, it's Karen Purdy, and I have another creative activity that I like to do when I'm feeling that I want to make something, but I'm not quite sure what I want to make. And for a lot of people, one of the easiest go-to creative activities would be to color. You know, take an adult coloring book and just color. And I like the convenience of that. You know, you can sit there and it's almost like crocheting. It's an activity you can do to keep your hands and to keep your mind busy, even when you're stuck on a couch or while you're watching TV. It's a great creative activity to do. But for me, even if I do color, I like to doodle. And that's why I created these templates that are available in my Etsy shop. And these are doodle templates that you can customize however you like just by repeating simple patterns in each section. So I'm going to show you how I do that. I have a variety of colored gel pens, and so rather than coloring or doodling in a black pen, I'm going to actually dig out, I have this purple sparkly gel pen, and I'm going to use this to just fill out this outside section with a simple pattern. And you'll see I go over the line like this because it creates a new, okay, like so, and then I'll go like so. So it creates a new look when you go over the lines. The lines are not so thick and bold that you can't do that. So you can really create this however you want, and the finished page will look however you want it to look. You can do different colors, and it'll almost look like you do it yourself from scratch. And so that's what's great about it, is the practice of this will also make it easier if you do want to sit down and doodle and create your own mandala from scratch. You'll kind of have some ideas to go with. And again, I don't make it perfect. I don't stress about crossing any lines or anything like that, because to me, being creative is all about the process. It's enjoying the process of creating, and I don't always worry so much about the end result. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I love it when I finish a page or I finish something and I look at it and, you know, I feel proud of it. Like, oh, I made that. But at the same time, I don't beat myself up if it doesn't come out perfect or it doesn't look like I'd hoped or like it did in my mind, because things rarely ever do. You know, and that's the beauty of creating, is that we learn over time to let go of that expectation that things will always come out the way we'd hoped. So, as you can see, all I'm really doing here is just creating some simple little lines, like so. And I'm just repeating this pattern as I go around. Now, I may speed up this process so I don't have to worry about talking while I doodle, because that does make it a little bit of a challenge. And then I will come back and show the finished result. Okay, so I'm not going to go through and finish the entire thing, but when you're done, you can take a pair of scissors and you can cut it out, and you can save this for using in an art journal page or sticking in your grab and glue book, or really however you want. If you're really proud of it, you might even want to put on something and frame it and hang it on your wall. So there are a few different creative activities that I'll do when I want to create, but I'm not sure what. And I hope that some of these inspire you, but please leave a comment and include your own suggestions, or even link to your own videos that cover this topic, because I do have a lot of beginning art journalists that do like to follow me, and this is a question I see come up a lot, is how do I get started? So I think that when you feel stuck and you don't know how to get started, I think these activities are a good way to just start making something, and you don't need to follow through with it. If you suddenly feel inspired, that's great. Let's say you make a stamp and cut it out, and then before you finish, you think, oh, I would like to use this in this way. I think that's great, and it's really all about following your instincts and enjoying the process. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. I hope this video inspires you to be creative and have fun. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.